We just have one case, and the exhibits for that case are posted on the panels directly behind me. The findings, it's a conditional use permit, and the findings for that are listed in the staff report. Now, if the evidence presented in the application at the hearing demonstrates that the criteria or the required findings are present, then I'll be able to approve the case. If not, then I will have no choice but to deny the matter. Now, as far as public notice is concerned, notification for this hearing was accomplished by the use of public notices, which were mailed to property owners located within 500 feet of the subject property and also occupants, and also physically posted on the site in question and placed in the local newspaper and also on the city's website. Now, the hearing will proceed as follows. First, I'll read a description of the application, and then I'll make reference to any significant city comments from other departments and other interested parties. Then I'll have the case planner, Mr. Hamilton, in this case, give an overview, an analysis, and a recommendation. Then I'll have the applicant come forward and make a presentation within a 15-minute time limit. If there's anyone else that wishes to speak on the matter, either in support of or in opposition to the application, they'll be allowed to do so within the 3-minute time limit. And lastly, if necessary, I'll give the applicant a chance to make any closing comments to address concerns raised by other speakers. Then I'll close the hearing, take the case under submission, and I'll be issuing a decision in writing, being the form of a letter which is sent to the applicant and to anyone else who has provided their name and mailing address in connection with the case. Now, the decision date will be the date that's on the letter. Now, as far as appeals are concerned, under the appeals provisions of Title 30, Chapter 30.62 of the Glendale Municipal Code, my decision can be appealed to the Planning Commission within 15 days of the decision date, and the appeal forms are available in our Building and Safety Division located in room 101 of this building. And if you haven't already done so, please fill out a speaker card and provide it to planning staff. And in addition to being on television, we're recording this on tape as part of the public record. Now, I don't have any speaker cards yet. Do you have any? If you're going to speak, you need to fill out a speaker card. Yeah, even if you're the applicant. So let me open today's case. The location is at 216 North Brand Boulevard. It's conditional use permit number PCUP 1200337. The applicant is Alyssa Glickman, and the owner is, well, it used to be the Glendale Redevelopment Agency. Is it City of Glendale now? Okay. And this is an application for a conditional use permit to allow the on-site sales, service, and consumption of beer and wine in the Downtown Specific Plan Alex Theater District, located at 216 North Brand Boulevard in the DSP Alex Theater District zone, described as lots 17, 7, and 8 in Block 5 of the Glendale Boulevard Tract, as per map recorded in Book 5, page 167 of maps. In addition, an expansion of the Alex Theater is proposed in Phase 1. 7,835 square feet of floor area will be added, with approximately 5,000 square feet in a basement level, and the remainder of the street and second story levels. In a future phase, an additional 5,009 square feet of floor area would be added at the street and second story levels. The Historic Preservation Commission reviewed and approved the proposed physical alterations at the public hearing of December 12, 2011. So let me ask the applicant, pardon me, I don't have the case file. So, well, Jeff, you can keep it. Do you know, are there any comments worth mentioning that
no,
are out
there
of
were
the ordinary? It's all standard?
It's very standard. No comments or no objections were raised by any other city department. There were conditions recommended by police Ms. Glickman has expressed some concern with one of the conditions. She'll speak to that later during her time.
Okay. So then why don't you give me an overview of the case?
Very good. As you said, this is an application for a CUP for on-site sales and consumption of beer and wine at the Alex Theater. And in addition, staff, the applicant proposes some physical additions to the building which have not been environmentally reviewed up to now. So staff prepared an initial study to review those physical alterations to the building. And since you're the review authority, you'll also be the responsible person for adopting or rejecting the environmental resolution for that document. There's a little project history. The building permits were pulled in 2011 for a variety of improvements. However, I'm told by the redevelopment staff that those permits have since either been suspended or withdrawn. And all the proposed physical alterations are on hold pending the resolution of the status of redevelopment agencies throughout the state.
That includes the alterations proposed here.
It includes the alterations shown on the plans. Again,
Okay.
the alterations shown are not in the purview of what you're doing today, but they were the reason why we did environmental review.
Correct.
The Historic Preservation Commission, as you noted, reviewed and approved the proposed physical alterations in December of 2011. The proposal is subject to a variety of findings, and I'll review those findings for you now. We believe that this application would be consistent with the various elements and objectives of the general plan because the property is located in the downtown specific plan area, which anticipates a wide mix of uses, including theaters and consumption of alcohol at various venues. There are specific land use policies in the DSP which promote a variety of land use options and healthy urban districts. Certainly the Alex Theater contributes to that, and the ability for them to sell alcohol at the site will ensure or help maintain the economic viability of the theater and help the Alex Theater to continue to play a key role in downtown Glendale. This location is also close to the recently adopted Arts and Entertainment District, so it is compatible with that recent emphasis on providing entertainment in the downtown area. We do not believe it will be detrimental to the public health or safety or general welfare. The Alex Theater has been in operation since 1925. It's sold alcoholic beverages in the past. There have been no comments or complaints raised by the police department about prior activity on the site related to alcohol sales and consumption. This approval today will not really change anything since alcohol sales has occurred in the past. It essentially authorizes the theater itself to be the applicant or the carrier of the permit rather than an independent contractor. There are no residential projects immediately adjacent to the site yet, although one is proposed to the south. There is a high school nearby, the Continuation High School, and the Central Library, but again, for the reasons we previously stated, since there haven't been any problems generated by the site in the past, we would not expect any problems to occur as a result of this approval. It's worth noting that the theater is not open every day and they do not sell alcohol every day. It's not a bar. It's open for special events essentially, and alcohol sales will occur at some of those events. There are adequate public and private facilities nearby, such as utilities, landscaping, parking, space, and traffic circulation adequate to serve the site, even with the alcohol sales. The proposed expansion will not affect any landscaping on the site because everything that is being altered is existing hardscape. The police department did note that this is in Census Tract 3020.02, which allows for 4 on-sale establishments based on alcohol beverage control guidelines, and there are currently 21 on-sale establishments in the tract. It's important to note that the tract is in the downtown area where such uses are appropriate and even encouraged to concentrate. And again, we've not had any evidence that there have been any abuses to the sale or consumption of alcohol in the property. So the fact that there's a concentration in downtown is not in and of itself a problem. Crime statistics for this tract are that there were 224 crimes, which is above the citywide average. But again, since this is a downtown area, and since we encourage concentration of a variety of uses in downtown, this is not unexpected, and it is not unacceptable. And again, we have not experienced criminal activity, noteworthy criminal activity related to the Alex Theater or the sales and consumption of alcohol at the Alex Theater in the past. Based on the findings and the evidence in the record, we believe that the findings can be made and that the conditional use permit should be granted. There are a couple of typos in the staff report where I referred to banquet halls. Those are just leftovers from previous staff reports. There is no banquet hall proposed for the site. It's just the Alex Theater in its historic operation. In addition, before you is a resolution to adopt the negative declaration at such time as you make a decision on the application itself. You would be the authority to adopt the environmental resolution. That concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
No, I think that answers them. I'll ask the applicant a little bit about the history. So then let me ask the applicant to come forward. Give your name and mailing address for the record.
My name is Lisa Glickman. I'm the interim CEO for Glendale Arts, which is the management company of the Alex Theater, which is located at 216 North Brand Boulevard in Glendale.
Okay. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. So why don't you give me a little bit of history about the past and proposed use of alcohol? Jeff's gone over the findings, so you don't need to concentrate on that unless you want to add something or comment on the draft conditions.
No, Mr. Hamilton covered most of my talking points in his original presentation. Essentially, we had a concessionaire, who contracted with us to provide concessions for slightly over a decade. Due to health reasons, he suspended his business at the Alex Theater, and with him went the beer and wine license. So our board, because we're a nonprofit organization, our board decided to pursue the Alex Theater's ownership of a beer and wine license so that we could provide that service to our patrons.
Did you get the liquor license yet?
We're waiting for the conditional use permit to be approved.
Okay.
So essentially, it's he suspended operations slightly around a year ago, so we've been operating without such a license and not offering that particular service, and now we're ready to sort of pursue that once again. We do currently serve soft drinks and water and that sort of thing.
So it's been over a year since...
Just slightly.
Okay. Okay. And do you know about the history going back prior to this operator?
It's my understanding, and my colleague, Mr. Alloway, who's been there slightly longer than I have, could probably speak a little bit further on that. But it's my understanding that the previous concessionaire was our first concessionaire. And when the theater reopened in the early 90s, he didn't operate it that early on. No. There were two previous operators. I'm not aware of any license that was outstanding through them.
Okay.
I'm just...
Okay. Well, that's good. All right. I just wanted to know what the recent history, and it was just beer and wine that
just
the previous...
beer and wine, which is, again, what we're essentially asking for today.
Okay. And where would it be served on the property?
We have two concession areas. One is in our forecourt, which is our outdoor area. It's an enclosed space just to the south. For those of you who know the downtown, it's the next to Don Cuco's. And then we have a bar area upstairs that we use when the theater is at full capacity. So anytime we have over 700 patrons, we'll open that secondary concession area.
Okay. And what about outdoors in the new area? Is there any plan to...
What we
serve
will,
alcohol there?
the expansion project would essentially allow us to have a reception area. So we wouldn't allow sales in that area, but we would probably allow some of our promoters to hold receptions. And those receptions may or may not include wine or beer.
Okay.
But they would not be for sale, and if it's a stipulation, they can always get a one-day permit if necessary.
No, I mean, I think if we allow it, it really doesn't matter where. I'm just curious.
But essentially, from a sales standpoint, we have two primary
Okay.
locations. We have looked into and we've investigated the possibility of doing carts throughout various different areas, but we can isolate those simply to coffee service or what have you
Okay.
if that's of concern.
No, as long as it's on the property.
It would be in essentially the same areas as the existing concessions.
All right. Any other comments?
I don't know if
'Cause
this
I don't
is-
see any other cards, so you might as well
Use up all the time.
use up your time.
I don't know if this is an appropriate time to address the one area of concern
Sure.
that we had as an organization.
Sure.
If you look at under the draft conditions of approval, 12 of 12, item number 15. The item is a little redundant in its language, and we as a staff were a bit concerned about how it was worded. The way it's worded, if you interpret it correctly, you could surmise that individual staff people could be held responsible rather than us doing our due diligence as individuals to make sure, A, people are not overserved, or B, people are not going out into the universe. But I think that it should be more onerous on the organization rather than an individual.
Yeah, I know which condition you're talking about, and there's a couple of other ones that hopefully deal with that. The idea was that these types of conditions are pretty standard in the last several years, just to make sure that the operator is keeping an eye on their customers when they're wandering off the property,
Sure.
not causing disturbance in the area, that's all. So,
Well, we have a full front-of-house staff that is in charge of overseeing and monitoring not only our concessions, but also security and making sure that people are in the proper place and the proper location.
okay. All right, I think that's all I need.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
All right.
Mr. Kraus, if I could just,
Mr. Hamilton?
you had made a comment about, or an observation, that the sales in the new addition, and you had used the phrase outdoors. Just to be clear, if the addition is built, it's all enclosed. There's no outdoor area as part of the new addition.
Okay. I thought maybe there'd be a plaza or something like that. Okay. Okay, well then, seeing no other interested parties wanting to speak, it's approximately 9:51. I'm going to take the case under submission. I'll be issuing a decision in writing. Thank you for coming.